Hey, what is up, guys? It is Chris here from the WWFuInternetWork. We are here again with a brand new interview for you guys here. We have former WWE Diva here with us, Cherry. How are you doing, Cherry?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
No problem, no problem. The pleasure is actually ours. You know, it's so great that you guys, we're getting so many interviews now, and everyone's being so cool about it, you know, just coming on and doing an interview with us. So I guess we'll just hop right into it. Now, how did you first get into professional wrestling?
How did I get into professional wrestling?
Yes.
Well, I was a fan, as everybody else is usually when they start out. I was working for a cellular wholesaler, and I became friends with this girl whose uncle was an independent promoter. And when I was at work, I talked about wrestling so much, and she's like, you know, you really need to talk to my uncle because he's an independent promoter. And so she got me in contact with him, and I talked to him. His name was Carmine Sabia of Stars and Stripes Championship Wrestling in New Jersey. And he was like, wow, for a girl, you really know a lot about wrestling. I'd watched it forever. So he's like, you should come to one of my shows. So I went to one of his independent shows, which I'd never been before, and saw what an independent circuit is like, and gradually started to show up at shows, and I started as a ring cat, and Bobcat kind of took me under her wing. She was, way back when she ended up getting signed by WWE, and she ended up being the only hardcore hoe when they had the hardcore championship. So she took me under her wing, and we kind of went around the independent circuit, and she kind of taught me the ropes a little bit. So from there, I just kind of on the independent circuit, Christian York, Joey Matthews, Alexis Marie, or Mickey James, as everybody knows her, and just kind of worked my way around and felt like managing wasn't really that fulfilling for me, and started to train as a wrestler and, you know, worked the independent circuit for a while, and basically got an opportunity from Danny Inferno, who convinced me to try out for an OVW training camp they were doing, so like a tryout training camp for OVW, and I kind of felt like, I'll never make it, you know, that was developmental at the time, and I was like, I'll just fill out the application, and I got accepted. I was like, holy cow. So I was like, I'll just go. It was the weekend, you know, it was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so I went down to Kentucky, and I was in a room full of 50 people, one of two girls, and knew a lot of the people there because a lot of them were from the independent circuit, and did, you know, a great camp with them. And I ended up hearing back from Danny Davis, owner of OVW, a week after I left, and he said, you know, we find that you have great potential. We really enjoyed having you, and if you're interested, you know, definitely come down to OVW. So on a whim, I just knew, I said, I'm going to take this chance. You know, I was working, and I had a great job at the time, and basically threw caution to the wind and said, if I don't do this, I'll regret it. So I left security of home and a great paying job and took my chance at a possibility of having an opportunity, and I did. And luckily within 4 months, which was insane at the time, you know, I got a chance to be seen by the right people and, you know, made friends, and Deuce and Delman were grateful enough to come up with the idea that they did and give me an opportunity with them, and it was a whirlwind from then on. So it was just kind of paying my dues. I paid my dues big time, which sometimes nowadays is not always the case, but that was then and this is now.
That's, you know, that's what I respect about, you know, women like you and, you know, women wrestlers on the indies today, you know, they're paying their dues, you know, like some of these women that are in WWE right now, I don't really want to take like a personal dig at any of them, but some of them, they were seen like in a crowd at a show, and they're like, oh, you're somewhat attractive, let's put you on TV. And it's like, they don't even know how to wrestle, some of them. And it's just like, you know, that's why I appreciate people like you that actually, you know, went on the indies, you know, paid their dues, wrestled in front of like 15 people to eventually get to that big place in the WWE. So it's stuff like that that's pretty, you know, it's just, it separates you almost. It's definitely noticeable, if anything.
It does, and wrestling just evolves, and it just does with everything. And you know, they're looking for the next Trish Stratus. You know, Trish Stratus was a fitness model that they kind of brought in. She ended up being a stellar superstar, and you know, they're looking for the next big thing because wrestling is just in such a lull right now that they're scrambling for anything, whether it's the independent girls that know what they're doing and know the history behind it, or they're looking for something from scratch where they can mold the next superstar, which they did with Trish Stratus, which ended up paying off very well. So it's just, it comes from all aspects. I mean, it's definitely changed from back in the day when, you know, people paid their dues and, you know, before it was all, secretive and nobody really knew anything about wrestling to nowadays where, it's completely exposed and everybody understands. It is predetermined situation. So I can't knock the girls that came in because I made great friends, and I know that a lot of them are very hardworking. Eve's extremely hardworking. Maurice was. Kelly was. So you're looking at girls that still, they did not pay their dues in the aspect that some of the other independent girls did, but, I've seen them work their butts off to get the opportunity that they have. So they didn't take their traditional wrestling way of coming in, but, they get away with, sitting on their butts and then getting an opportunity. So they just paid their dues in a different way.
Yeah, and Kelly, especially, I remember when she debuted until now, there's just been an advanced improvement with her. It's amazing just seeing how well she's doing now. Because I remember she started out, as the dancer, and then she progressively started, the show that she could wrestle. And then at WrestleMania 28, when she was in that tag match, she out of nowhere, I think she did like a moonsault out of nowhere. No one saw that coming. And I was like, finally, there's some women in this company that can wrestle, which I was just like, that's awesome. You can tell she took the time to, really learn the sport, which, is really honorable. And I was ecstatic to see, like the Divas division, I see it improving every day. It's just, they just got to play their cards right. I think they have a really talented roster at this point. It's all about, playing it right almost.
And it is just different than, Kelly is very athletic and always was. So she could do a lot of things kind of the same way with me. Cherry, the character, was not known to wrestle, but as most independent people and people that are in the wrestling know, that I did wrestle for a number of years, and when I got signed, Johnny didn't even know I could wrestle, and it was just kind of a bonus. So, she's very athletic, and it's just different now. You're not wrestling like a wrestler anymore where there's real matches. It's just more of a storyline and the sympathy and the emotion in it and the soap opera in it. So it's just finding the key thing that you need right now. The girls are very athletic. Eve herself, she's very athletic. So when you're able to get that opportunity to show that athleticism, it's really exciting because then people are really excited to see you. I mean, I could have, I was doing Frankensteiners and moonsaults and everything else on the indies, but when you look at just Cherry in WWE, she really didn't do much, which it just panned out that way, and that was just kind of the path that I had, and I don't, I could have shown more, and that's really sad I didn't, but you know what, everybody has a path, and that was mine. So when you're able to show that to the fans and show that you have a depth to yourself, and I think that a lot of people understood that I did have more depth. Kelly is very athletic as well as some of the other girls, so that's definitely a key you need to have. I mean, you need to be very easy on the eyes as well as being an athlete, because when it comes down to it, it's still sports entertainment.
Oh, yeah. So now, you basically were picked up by OVW. How was your time there? Was it like a good time? Were you able to wrestle a lot, or was it always, you came in, you kind of wrestled a little bit, but you were always in like a managerial type role?
A whole lot, and Cherry as the character, that was probably the best time that I had, because we had such creative control over our characters, and towards the end, right before we ended up going full time on the road, I did a program with Katie Lee Burchell, which was fun. But we were working every single day. We had practice from 10 to 2, and then we got so many shows in that Kentucky area that at night we had wrestling shows. So we did practice during the day, and then we did wrestling shows at night, and that ended up being 7 days a week when Deuce Domino and I myself were there. So we were working a lot, and during practice, Al Snow worked us. We wrestled. We needed to understand the psychology of it. So I did wrestle, although maybe on the shows I didn't necessarily wrestle as much as, say, Deuce and Domino, but there were Shelly. We had all these girls that were down there, so they contribute to the show too. So did I wrestle at WWE that much? No, but I did a whole lot of wrestling down in OVW, and I'm grateful for Danny Davis and Al Snow and Rick Rogers to teach me what I learned. I learned so much from them. It was amazing.
Yeah, I used to hear so much about OVW, all the talent coming up. I used to try to find any way to watch it, I think it was around, when YouTube came out, OVW started, getting on the internet, and I was really impressed because, they had a really good thing going with that. I was really shocked when WWE jumped ship and, they made FCW their new training place, because OVW, a lot of great talent came out of there, and I was initially shocked when they got basically cut ties with OVW to go to FCW, because if you really look at the talent that came out of OVW, it's a very long list, and it was definitely like, wow, WWE is just, I think they made a mistake here, because OVW was some great stuff.
Yeah, it was a shock to everybody. Nobody understands the reasoning as to why they moved developmental. When Memphis was a developmental territory for WWE, we did a week there at the Memphis territory, and then they ended up moving to Kentucky and then to Florida Championship Wrestling. So you don't understand the reasoning, and it goes just full circle. You don't understand the reasoning between storylines now. There's a reason behind it. We don't understand. There was a lot of great talent out of OVW, and people were getting signed outside of. Basically, FCW is they've already found people and they send them to FCW, whereas OVW, people would move to Kentucky and just work for their dream and ending up getting a contract. So it definitely is different, but again, it's the wrestling world. It's definitely evolving to something different now. So we did have a lot of great talent that came out of OVW.
Oh yeah, of course. Now, when the time came that you were going to be brought up to WWE, did you initially know that you were going to be brought up with Deuce and Domino? Like, was that always the plan, or was it all three of you were going to get called up and they were going to try it, but maybe it wouldn't work, or was it always you three were going up together?
That's an interesting question. No one's ever asked that, but yes, I was basically signed with Deuce and Domino. I had been in Kentucky for almost 4 months, and I had known Deuce actually for years since I started. We actually started wrestling in the same month in New Jersey in the same wrestling school. So I met him as soon as he started with his dad. He would go to the same wrestling school. So I had known him over the years. So when I would go to WWTV, I was the ring girl on WWTV, and so I would make friends with everybody there. And Deuce had pulled me to the side at that time and said, "Listen, me and Domino have been working on this gimmick, and we really think we need a girl to it. We don't really know what she is. We don't really know anything about her, but he showed me some promo tapes of what they had been doing, this 50s gimmick, and they said, we want a girl, but we know we want her on roller skates. We don't know what she looked like. We don't know how she talked. We don't know, her name, but they gave me full control over this girl that they wanted." So we ended up, it was a week that we worked on it because it kind of came up very quickly. At OVW, they had talent evaluations for them to possibly bring up. So Deuce had said, "Listen, they're coming Tuesday." This was a Wednesday that he spoke to me. "They're coming Tuesday, and let's just get this together." So I was like, crap, like, what does this girl look like? I don't, 50s. I was running around trying to get vintage roller skates and saw their promo. Well, long story short, we end up the night before that Johnny Ace and his team were coming down, I was at Rip Rogers' class, which was that night, and I get a voicemail from Deuce and said, "Listen, Al Snow and Danny Davis said you weren't allowed to come, only contracted people to go to this thing," which I completely understood, and I was a little disappointed. He goes, "I'm going to talk to him tomorrow, just be ready. Just be ready for my phone call." So he ends up calling me, he's like, "Get down here in 10 minutes. So nobody, even in OVW, knew that we had put this thing together between the three of us. They knew that Deuce and Domino had this 50s gimmick going. So I get there, and basically we put on a show for everybody with this gimmick. We had 2 days that we got together and kind of came up with the name Cherry and came up with the dynamic of what our group was, and blew them away. And me and Domino, since Deuce had already been signed at the time, got signed from that day. And that was a Tuesday. We did OVW TV Wednesday, and Thursday we got a phone call from Chris DeJoseph and said, "You guys are debuting on Raw on Monday," which blew us away.
Wow.
It was such a whirlwind. Yeah, they wanted us, the three of us, to debut on Raw, which ended us leading to being down in OVW for a year, which ended up being great for us because we just put this idea together. It gave us time to marinate and really gel and really get the chemistry going. So that worked it better for us, and we debuted a year to the day that me and Domino got signed in Little Rock, Arkansas. And that ended up being just the best opportunity that I could have ever gotten, and it was always just going to be Deuce, Domino, and Cherry. We came in as a group, and we left as a group. So it was an amazing experience, and I wouldn't give it up for the world. Yeah, they always wanted us together.
That's crazy. Wow. That's just, you know, and I really do respect that, you know, you guys came in as a group, you know, you guys were like a group, you were going to go in as a group and leave as a group, and that's respectable in that in itself. And I remember you guys coming on TV, because I had just, like, got into wrestling when you guys, you know, the vignettes were airing about Deuce and Domino, you know, these guys, you know, no one really, like, necessarily knew what they were all about. And I remember seeing you guys come out on the card, and you were there, and I was just like, wow, you know, this is definitely something different. It kind of shook the exterior of the tag team division. And I remember you guys did some great stuff, and it was so entertaining. I feel WWE could have went so much further with you guys. I kind of feel like, you know, where they left you guys off wasn't the end of you three.
Yeah, I agree. We did a lot. If anybody had an opportunity to go back to our year in OVW, we did some amazing things that we weren't able to do on WWE TV. And basically, there's not as much creative room for all of us when we're in WWE because there's so much else going on and there's so much more of attraction. But in OVW, we had more of a creative control. We were the main storyline. We had a great feud with Cody Rhodes and Shawn Spears that was just the best time of my life, a dream come true to me. But when you get to WWE, there's a lot more going on and there's a lot more priorities. So there was, you know, in OVW, we took up the state, we hit people with it, you know, I had a chance to turn on them. There's a controversial storyline with that. So we did. We felt like there was so much more to do Domino and Cherry to contribute to the product, and for reasons we don't know or understand, we just didn't have that opportunity, and I'm not really sure why, and we could have definitely contributed. So it happens. You know, there must be a reason that we don't know, but we just didn't get to do as much as we did in OVW that we would have on WWE TV.
And, you know, it's just the sad thing is, you know, Deuce and Domino, like, you guys had a great gimmick going, and Deuce and Domino, they were great wrestlers, too. You know, they were definitely contributing to the tag team division, which around that point was kind of becoming, you know, worse and worse. And now at this point in time, the WWE tag team division is barely holding on by a thread. There's only a couple of teams still walking around, and some of them are makeshift tag teams with guys that were on the roster that really had nothing going on, and they were just put in a random tag team. Deuce and Domino, on the other hand, were always, you know, they came up as a team, you know, they weren't thrown together, and it just worked. And it's sad, you know, because they were definitely contributing to almost a dying art of tag team wrestling, you know, something that wrestling fans love and stuff going on, and it's a shame.
It is, and it's hard because when we coming in, there was always that stigma of, you know, Vince wasn't high on tag teams. But, you know, there's a place on the card for everything. There's a different attraction. Women are different attraction. You know, you've got your main event, you've got your tag team. And the only, you know, we had heard, you know, the only tag team that really fulfilled that dream for Vince was LOD, which was just such an icon for us. And we wanted to come in. We had great supporters. JBL was such a great supporter and a great help to the boys. And John Cena was really strong in helping, you know, support and give feedback, and so was Undertaker. You know, everybody was very willing. And for some reason, you know, tag teams just don't take off so well, and they kind of get lost in the mix. And they do have a place on the card. It's a different attraction. It's something different. So it was really hard for them to fight to get that opportunity because it is an attraction. Deuce and Domino are so talented, and they can contribute so much to the product. It's just one of those things, again, it's just like something gets cut short and we don't know why. There's got to be a reason we just don't understand. So, you know, we had great supporters and a lot of people, and they worked very hard, and they were always trying to get better and contribute more to the product. So I'm not really sure why it falls short. I'm not really sure why tag teams fall short. You know, Darren Young is a great friend of mine. I've known him for years, and, you know, I had always said to him even before I got signed, I said, you are exactly what they're looking for, and he's going to be such a great superstar. And he's in a tag team right now getting opportunity to be on TV, and, you know, hopefully they're able to keep that steam going because it's needed. That part on the card is needed to entertain the fans. So it's one of those things.
Exactly. And it's just, you know, the primetime players, you know, with Darren Young, it's just, I know so many fans that are just supporting them because they're like the first tag team in a very, very long time to basically be paired up and it work. Like they come out with the Abraham Washington guy. It just works so well, and I pray that WWE just, you know, lets them roll with it and just let them go to their fullest potential with it, because it can really, there's so many, I just looked at WWE in the past, there's been so many missed opportunities with certain tag teams, including Deuce and Domino, that you look back and you're just like, why didn't WWE let this work? And I'm really hoping for the first time in a very long time, the primetime players, or that tag team, that they're put together to be a good tag team, they are shown as a good tag team, and they go to their highest potential as a tag team.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully it'll get better, because they're definitely the attention, for sure.
So, overall, what did you enjoy most about working with the WWE? What were some of your favorite things about working there?
Oh, gosh. Being in that family, the talented superstars, it's just a unique clique in a family. Everybody's so great. Being able to see the world and have these experiences that I've never thought in a million years I'd have. I have so many dreams, so many pictures of events and going to places and making friends. It was just getting an opportunity to do something I never thought in a million years I'd get to do. I made some great friends who I still talk to today. I've, able to still connect with some of those fans from them and from that time, and just being able to entertain people on such a level and be appreciated for it. And it's just an amazing feeling. I long for that still. It's, wrestling is still in my heart, and to be able to meet these people and being that fan that, admired athletes the way that I did back then, and to be able to give back. I always took the time to sign autographs when I was there. I remember one time me and Layla stayed so late after a house show and signed everybody's autographs, because we appreciate that. That's why we're there. They enjoy that, and we enjoy doing that with them. So just that opportunity of meeting great people, great fans, having the opportunity to live out a dream and learn from just the most amazing minds in the business, and saying this was my friend, like learning from Fit Finley, learning from Undertaker, learning from Steven Regal, Ric Flair, and they were so open to it. And everybody's so nervous about being around these people. They're just so normal. And to be able to live that life, that dream that I never thought I could dream, it was a great time in my life, and I still think about it all the time.
So that's crazy. I can't fathom, going up to the Undertaker and, ask him a question, just because I hear all the stories, he's like the big guy in the locker room, everyone's kind of intimidated by him, but then I hear people say, when they go up and they ask him for advice, he's so open about it, which, it just makes you think, wow, the WWE locker room is definitely just getting the advice from, the best people possible. And, that's just reassuring.
And Taker's great. He's always open for anybody's, questions and to help you. And that's what the best part is, I've been back a number of times to a lot of the shows, and it's a great feeling that, Taker goes, Cherry, how are you? We've been long lost friends, and that's a good feeling to have that, because you get that sense that he's got the stigma that he's just a normal guy. And he's just great and outgoing and super friendly and welcoming, and always welcomes our questions, if not just hanging out, and as well as everybody else. Chavo Guerrero, what a great friend, Rey Mysterio. They're all great people, and you just have to take yourself out of the situation. Yes, they're superstars on TV, but they're also normal human beings just like everybody else. So it was great to be able to be in that circle and learn from them and become part of their family, because it's a cherished opportunity that I'll never forget.
So, in your time at WWE, were there really any negatives that you felt, or overall was you think your whole experience at WWE was just very positive?
It's frustrating at times, because there are so many spots on the card, you don't really know where things are going. So, like any job, there's ups and downs. Negativity, not really. I mean, I kind of feel that I make friends everywhere and just kind of roll with the punches, and I never had any situation. Sure, there's rights that go on, but nothing ever too bad, nothing that I would never go back for, that I wouldn't go back for. It's just like every job, it's just a different atmosphere as far as, going along with your job and being happy. Everybody's unhappy at some point in their job, but everybody there is so appreciative. There's what you have to understand, and you've got to have a mind for, is that there's so much time allotted on a show, and they have to fit in the most important thing. So sometimes you get cut with from your segment, or sometimes your segment gets cut, or it goes longer. you're contributing to the show and what's important. And you have to have that mindset to understand that. And if you don't, then it's going to be hard for you. So if you have the mindset to know that, this gets cut because we need this for that segment, or, you have to be in the mindset that you have to be part of the team. And if you're not, then it's going to be hard for you. I never had any negativity. I had great times with all the girls in the locker room. All the gentlemen were great with me. I never had any negativity. I really enjoyed it.
Was there anything that, you, Deuce, and Domino got really, really behind or, really excited for, and then it ended up, around showtime it got cut?
Well, this one angle we were in talks with doing, we were overseas, and this was when the angle with Batista and Ric Flair came about, and I had become pretty close with Rick and Dave, and to Vince that they wanted to work with Deuce and Domino, and they had told us overseas they pitched this idea, this couple-month idea where it ended up being just that one segment where Deuce couldn't find me backstage, and they had a match with Flair and Batista, and they couldn't get after the match that Deuce had with Batista. So Deuce goes down the hallway, and, I come out of Batista's locker room, he's flipping out, and, we walk away, and then Batista comes, and he tries to go in his locker room, and me and Flair were in there. So that ended up being an angle that we were really excited about. It was they had pitched to Vince that they wanted to do an angle with the three of us in a way that incorporated me. And we were really excited about it because, we've got these top guys pitching this idea to work with us. They were really exciting. And to make it a couple-month-long deal, and we ended up going for the championship with them. But for whatever reason, Vince kiboshed it, and it ended up just being a 2-week segment. We had that match with Batista, where me and Batista started flirting. The next week, we ended up doing that backstage segment where I was in Batista's locker room, and Flair came out. Kind of got that whole Flair thing, going on, which was great because every time I still get people going, "Where's Flair?" Asking me where Flair was. People liked that angle. But for whatever reason, Vince just decided not to go with it, and he had different plans for them, and that's the hard part. We were kind of low on the totem pole then, and Flair and Batista were the it thing on SmackDown, and, it would have been great to be able to work with them in that capacity, but they just had a different way they were going with them, so... And this just being a 2-week thing rather than a couple-month thing that they had pitched. So we got excited for that, and we're a little disappointed, but, what can you do?
Yeah, I remember actually watching that, and it could have been very interesting. I know you guys probably had some good stuff planned for it, it's just, there's always stories about certain stuff getting just, last second, no, we're not going to do it this way, we're going to do it this way, it's going to cut short. And I've heard it from multiple people, multiple superstars that, they had an angle that they really wanted to do. They wanted to get behind it so bad and, it just didn't work out. And it's a shame because stuff like this stuff you guys had planned, I looked forward to it. A lot of the fans were interested in it. It was something juicy. And, every now and then, good wrestling's appreciated, but, good storylines is also very appreciated. And, it's not necessarily good storylines with the main eventers. People do care about the tag teams, the mid-card. We want to see really good stuff going on there too. We just don't. So, with with you guys getting released, now, what were the circumstances of it? Or is it one of those, questions where, you just don't have an answer to? Was it your guys' decision, you felt nothing was there for you anymore and you wanted to move on? Because there's always cases like that. Or is it just, WWE just called one day?
It was at a bad time with the economy, when the economy crashed really bad. I know that people want to come up with their own speculation as to why I was released. But I can tell you one thing. I had my conversation with Johnny East. Nobody else did. So I really got insulted and hurt when Chico was let go, and it was not those reasons. I know why I was let go, as well as a lot of other people that were being let go at the time. It was the economy. And they had not only the talent get let go, but there was a large number of people in headquarters that were let go. So I think it was just kind of that cleaning house. But it really, the fact that people were saying the things that they were saying as to why I was released, it really emotionally hurt me. And it's hard to come back from that when people just say things like that as to why I was released. It wasn't those reasons. And I know exactly what Johnny East told me, and it wasn't that reason that why I was let go. So there was if people look back and take their emotions out of it and take their dirty feelings out of it, there was a lot of people let go at that time. So for them to speculate as to what my conversation was, mine and only my conversation with Johnny Ace was, it wasn't those reasons. And that's really hard to hear a mass amount of people coming up with their own conclusions for it. It was my time. I had to accept it. I didn't want to go. But you know what? It happens, and everything happens for a reason. So it wasn't anything I wanted to be there still, but, it was just the time. The economy was bad, and they weren't doing so great, and, they let a lot of people go. It was 2 weeks of letting a lot of talent go in addition to people at headquarters. So unfortunately, my time was cut short, and I'm always welcome back. I go there a lot, and I see Natty all the time, and I go to the shows when they're here and get to see Beth and, the people that I really care about. So it wasn't a bad thing, Unfortunately, it had to happen, and I was one of the casualties of it. I can't be mad at that, I'm blessed to have had the opportunity that I did and to contribute as much as I did and to actually live out my dream. I mean, many people don't get to say that. So I appreciate everything that I've gotten from the WWE. I have no hard feelings whatsoever. So, unfortunately, it ended when it did. And, not only did Jason Domino and Cherry have much more to contribute to the product, but Cherry herself had a lot more. And I guess it just wasn't in the cards for me.
And what, just talking about, people, making false speculation, it always, it irritates me when, someone gets released and some website puts up their, their opinion on why they were released. Like, no one never knows unless, I'm here, asking you why, what happened. It irritates me, if a guy gets released, they're like, oh, he was just untalented. A girl gets released, they weren't using her. It's just like, you don't know WWE's situation, you don't know the actual superstar situation, you don't know the diva situation. And, people just making false assumptions, it's childish. It's just, if the superstar or diva wants to come out and say why they were released, let them. If they don't, it's their private business. It's just, people, kind of act childish when it comes to stuff like that. And I feel for you guys. It's ridiculous that, people will say what they say because, you guys were released. Just stuff happens.
It happens, and I think that especially when someone who is a fan of a particular superstar and their superstar gets released, it's hard because they feel a little robbed. But it all just goes back to not understanding the rhyme and reason as to how everything evolves up there. There's reasons why we didn't get our opportunity for Batista and Rick, and you're never going to understand everything, but I think it's just emotional when your favorite superstar gets released and you don't get to see any more of them on that level. So it's hard, and I think that people aren't, they're acting emotionally when they're talking, and I can understand that because there's times where people ask for the release. It's time to move on. Trish left. She did her thing. She was a great superstar, and she's ready to move on, and that happens. Or you get released when you're really not ready to go. Everything happens for a reason, and I'm really a big believer in that, and I'm lucky to have had the opportunity that I did and to contribute the way I was. Sure, I would have loved to have stayed a little longer and had my feuds and been able to show people what I could do, but, everything happens for a reason. You can't fight that.
So what are you up to now? After you got, you and WWE, parted ways, where'd you go from there? Did you go back to the Indies, doing the Cherry character, or are you basically, done with wrestling? Or are you just, waiting for an opportunity to come back?
I did take some independent bookings as soon as I left WWE. I do long for that. WWE and wrestling is in my heart always, and I still watch every bit of it, from Ring of Honor to TNA to WWE to everything. And I still have friends that I talk to a lot. So when, I got released, I did a little bit of independence, but the emotional aspect of it was very hard for me to get over. So I needed to take a break from my own sanity and kind of collect myself. But I went back, did a little bit of that, and I'm just kind of working at different projects. I just have to find the right opportunity if I'm going to get back into wrestling because I want to do it the right way. I want people to remember me the right way, and I want to be able to contribute to the right way. So it's just, getting involved with the day-to-day stuff and, getting myself better. After I got released, it was very hurtful, and people would say things to me at appearances, and I know they meant the best in their intentions and what they would say to me about my release, but a woman is critical of herself if you're a normal person that's never been on TV, but when you're in that situation and then people are coming up with their own conclusions, it's a little hard to step back. So I kind of needed to work on myself a little bit, so I needed to take a break. So I would love to contribute again. I would love to be involved again. I think there's a lot more that I could be involved with. I just need to make sure that I'm in the right state of mind and able to contribute in the best way, so it's as entertaining as it was before. So, yeah, I'm just taking some time off now and waiting for the right opportunity.
Oh, after, I haven't seen much of Deuce either, but I have seen a lot of Domino, Cliff Compton. It's just, you guys, I've seen especially a lot of Cliff Compton, all over the internet. He's becoming a little internet celebrity there with all of his appearances on podcasts and stuff. We're actually trying to get him on here as well because I think that'd be a very interesting time. But, everyone takes it differently. I noticed right after, he got released, he went right back to the indies, and there are rumors that he might even be, heading to TNA. There's just tons of speculation, and, everyone handles it differently. But, of course you respect, how everyone handles it. And everyone here wishes you the absolute best, and we all really hope to see you back on WWE. It's one of those things,
Thank you.
You came in as a manager, but we all know you can wrestle. It's like one of those things. We want to see you wrestle really badly.
And it is. It's like Cliff is a talented guy. The chemistry that I had with the two of those guys is crazy. I mean, we could have contributed a lot more. I mean, Domino is not only talented athletically, but he is amazing on the mic. He's hysterical. And, I'm glad that he's enjoying himself on the independents and Deuce is out, in the West Coast and doing what he's doing with his family, which is awesome. And, everybody needs to find their path. I long for those days that we had where we, dominated OVW shows and people loved it and enjoyed that. And, if there was ever an opportunity and if it's in the cards for us, maybe we'll make it back. I don't know necessarily together, but individually I think that, those boys gave me an opportunity and they're so talented and they didn't get to really show their full talent. It's great to see that. And, Domino is hysterical and great and is so talented and he's enjoying himself on the independents and I'm happy to see that. I've done a few appearances with him and, as always, very fulfilling and entertaining. So we'll see. I mean, if it's in the cards for us, it'll happen because, fans do want to see us. And on Twitter, I get a lot of, comments and stuff, and I would love to be able to do that again. So we'll see. Well, it's not out of the cards for me, that's for sure, because I think about it every day, and, it's in my heart. So you can't get rid of that when you're built around it.
Oh yeah, it's a passion. That's why I respect people like you that have an actual passion for the business. And, they want to do anything they can to contribute, and that's just awesome. We all really do wish you the best. Is there any way your fans can contact you via Twitter, Facebook?
Yes, I don't have a Facebook, so the fake ones that are out there are not me. But my Twitter is former Diva Cherry. That's FMR Diva Cherry. And any of them can contact me. I've been talking to some great ones from Brazil and all over the place. So I enjoy interacting with everybody. So they can contact me through my Twitter.
All right. We really like to thank you, Cherry, for coming on. We really do appreciate it. And like I said, we all do wish you the best. And, I'll be definitely just looking out to see, when you guys hopefully make your return to WWE, because I have a feeling, at this rate, they need people like you guys, and it's a shame that, you guys released when you were, but we're all hoping, because, even, Cliff Compton, or Domino, he's definitely been getting some, fire under him, everyone loves him now, of course, but, you can't have one of you without all of you, because you guys are so great together. So, thank you so much for coming on, we really do appreciate it.
Okay, well, thank you for having me.
All right, so everyone, go follow Cherry on Twitter and all that good stuff, and thank you guys for listening. Peace.